Welcome to NeverTheLess podcast with Bidemi Mark-Mordi, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you would learn how to discover your essence and live more powerfully.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us on another beautiful episode of NeverTheLess show. My name is Dr. Shugo. Today's episode is going to be very wonderful as we're looking at the curse of genius. A lot of times you see people talented, people good at their craft, and the craft, the talent that is meant to be a blessing, that is meant to take them to their next level, somehow is also that talent that prevents them from forging ahead. So what do we mean when we say curse of genius? We have our anchor person, our teacher in the house today, BMM. Good to have you once again in the house.
Hi, Dr. Schultz. It's a beautiful thing to see that this series is moving on nicely, and this is our third episode in the series. And like you said, today we're talking about the curse of genius.
Yes,
it's amazing that everything that is a blessing can also become a curse. I say to people that God's gifts, they are value neutral. What that means is that if you have the capacity to sing, it is value neutral. You by yourself will decide whether your capacity to sing is a blessing or a curse.
So the choice is ours,
yes.
whether you want to use it as a blessing
or as
use
a curse.
It as a curse.
As a curse. So we already know that all of us have a seed of genius on the inside of us.
Yes.
But that seed becomes a curse of many people. I have had the privilege and the opportunity to work with deeply gifted people. And it's amazing. If it's not their character that is truncating their journey, is their refusal to finish what they are doing that truncates their journey. So when you look at the curse of genius, what is it that I'm talking about? I'm talking about those things that tend to stop geniuses from arriving. And then remember that each one of us is a genius, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm talking about the things that are likely to stop you and stop me from delivering on what God put on the inside of us. Because every seed has the potential for a harvest. The harvest is usually greater than the seed. So if you don't work your seed properly, the tendency is your harvest may be minimal if you have a harvest at all. So the point is that there is something that is out there that we need to look out for so that we don't fall under the yoke of the curse of genius. The curse of genius is why people don't finish. They start something, and before you know what is happening, they have 15 things that are half done. 30%,
they just catch it on the surface.
30%, 70%, 80%, but none of them is completed. And someone is wondering, why does that happen to me? Because that's the frustration that some geniuses face. The thing about genius is that if you're able to identify or acknowledge that you are a genius in your core, then the ideas will continue to flow. Because the thing that is peculiar to geniuses is geniuses view life with a mindset of solutions.
Absolutely.
So because of that, everywhere you go and you're looking at around the place, you are
solutions,
spotting problems,
correct.
And you are looking for, you are coming up with solutions, ideas that will bring about solutions. Now, because of that, I have my hand in 50-10 pies. And I use that number as advisedly, 50-10.
50-10.
That tells you that I am in different things.
So many things.
Now, at some point, it became the reason why I was depressed. Because I have so many things that I should be doing and not one of them that I'm able to finish.
And that can become a curse.
I'm telling you, depression is a curse. Don't you know that?
Absolutely.
When you think about the fact that, if I had finished this book, if I had done that podcast, if I had done this one, if I just put that training out, I would have generated this. I would have been empowered in this place. It would have opened the door for me to go here. But here I'm seated. Everything is at 20%, 40%, 60%, 17%.
So it's possible
None is complete.
It's possible for a genius to feel stuck.
Exactly. He's not stuck in that he's not doing anything. It's that he's stuck in that he's doing too many new things.
And he's not completing.
He's not completing. And that is a major curse. I know.
And sorry for cutting.
No, that's fine.
And it's possible because, like you rightly said, a genius has the ability to spot problems, create solutions.
Yes.
And the cycle of spotting problem, creating solution goes on and on.
Yes.
It's even possible for you to be carried away with that activity without actually paying attention that this is a curse. Even though you are doing so much, you are producing so less.
Exactly. In fact, what you have just highlighted is the euphoria of getting it done. You know, because you are so busy getting it done. Because you're so busy doing 40, 50 things, in your mind you are ticking the boxes, you are arriving. But the thing is, no one is being blessed because you never stay long enough to conclude something before you jump into the other thing.
So the impact is not
minimal, it's not effective. And so people don't say you are not gifted. They just say they didn't see what you did with your giftedness. And that is...
It can be painful.
As someone who has gone through it, I can tell you that it's one of the most painful things that I've had to face on this journey. To see that, you know, I sit down, I say to myself, it's not that I couldn't do it. I know how to do it. I started to do it. Why am I still here? And then if God wants to punish you, somebody else will take it and go and do it.
And get the credit.
They just heard you talk about it. Because you are glowing in the euphoria of getting it done, they just take it and go and finish it. And then one day you just see it. Let me tell you something that happened to me I would never forget. Many years ago, God gave me Effectual magazine and told me to do Effectual magazine, and I started. We've done a few editions. Then I started to think, you know, I wasn't making any money out of it. I wasn't able to, you know, every time I had to make a fresh investment, it was taking so much money. It wasn't running itself. So eventually one day I complained. Then I put it to rest and I stopped doing it. One day I'll never forget, I had gone to a church in Lagos. I'll tell you so that you know that I can never forget that lesson. I had gone to Christ Church in Bagada to attend a conference. It was a weekday. So we had finished. I don't think I stayed to the end of the conference, but I left and I was in my car going back to Festac. I lived in Festac then. And in the Oshodi traffic, those days there'll be a lot of traffic. Right there in Oshodi traffic, this was 2008.
Whoa.
I remember because...
That's about 14 years ago.
Yes, that thing knocked me down. And right there in traffic, someone walked up to me and put a magazine in my face. It was a Christian magazine for women of faith. It was a lifestyle magazine rather for women of faith. I will not mention the name, but I looked at that magazine and I bought a copy. And every page I opened, I was weeping on the inside. I was weeping on the inside because what it felt like was everything God told me to do with my magazine and I did not do. He just packaged it and handed it to this person who started. I started the first edition of Effectua that I did was in 2003. This edition, this magazine that I'm talking to you about, it was that year that they started. It probably maybe their third edition because this was around October. And I saw, no, this was around September. And I saw that edition and I kept looking at that magazine and I was practically weeping in my car as we drove to Festac. And when I finished weeping, I sat down and I started to beg God. I said, give me one more chance. I will do this work. Give me one more chance. I will do this work. And that is how I went back to publishing Effectua. And guess what? Effectua, if you know me today, Effectua was the thing that opened the doors for me.
It was a springboard for you because you saw that particular project from start till finish. The end this time around.
And I learned my lesson that God cannot give me something to do. He cannot activate genius on the inside of me and I will not follow through on it. So I learned the lesson. So when I say to you that there is a curse of genius, I know what I'm talking about.
It's not
guesswork. I have experience.
So which means if we don't pay attention to what is meant to be a blessing for us, it
can become a curse.
All right, we need to go on a quick break. Don't forget, this is still Nevertheless show. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back shortly.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life is just simple. Do not worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi Mark-Mordi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, NeverTheLess. NeverTheLess is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of NeverTheLess and other books written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, like The Wisdom of the Seed, Honor, The Theology of Work, and so much more from a bookstore nearby, or call 080-905-63555 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order. I guarantee you will make it. NeverTheLess.
Welcome back. This is still NeverTheLess show. My name is Dr. Shogo, and we still have in the house with us BMM. We've looked at the curse of
what it means.
Now, I want to find out, how do we prevent this curse? What are the things we can do to checkmate the curse of genius?
Yes, there are three major things that I think we ought to do. Okay. The first one would be to leverage your relational currency. And I'll take my time to explain that. You see, when you are a brilliant person, guess what? The law of attraction says that other brilliant people will gravitate towards you, because, it's the law of lead as well. The higher your leadership potential, the higher the leadership potential of those who gravitate to you. So every genius is surrounded by other geniuses. Now, when I say leverage your relational currency, I'm trying to say in very touch ways that we should not be intimidated by the brilliance of other people who come around us. Because you see, a team is how you are able to finish many things. Because I am not of the school of thought that you should stop dreaming. You have to continue dreaming. It is the hallmark of genius. If you are a genius, you will continually have brand new ideas. Absolutely. New things will occur to you. New solutions will come into your consciousness. Yes? But if you don't have a team that is good enough, that you can start and consolidate what you are doing, if you don't learn the art of delegation, the odds are that you would keep stopping, because when something new comes up, you now want to put yourself to it. And in putting yourself into something new, you have to something, because
nobody is lifting up your hands.
Yes, because that's the thing now. Because Aspire to Perspire people have told us that work-life balance. Yeah. They say multitasking. That's a myth. It does not exist. It doesn't exist. You cannot do more than one thing at the same time.
You are not omnipotent.
Not at all.
And you are not omnipresent.
So because of that, we need a team. And that means that you must learn delegation. It means also that, and this is what most geniuses perhaps don't like, it means also that the glory is shared, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, please.
But better share the glory than not finish.
No glory at all.
Don't finish. So you have to learn delegation. Something else that you have to do, let me quickly say it, is you have to get what we call systems. A very wise man, I think it was Ray Edwards, he said that systems mean to save yourself time, energy, and money. Now, in saving yourself time, energy, and money, you become that person who has processes, who has systems. There are templates. Say, for instance, in any good year, I publish about 6 books. Not for other people. I write and publish 6 books. It wasn't that in the beginning. In the beginning, I'll write 1 book 1 year. In fact, there was a particular book that I did for 3 years because I didn't have a system. But by the time, that was my first book. By the time I was writing my self-own book, I had a system. So I said to myself, I want to write a 60,000 word book. Okay. In writing a 60,000 word book, I want to write it in 30 days. To write it in 30 days, I will write 2,000 words every day. So when I wake up in the morning, I'll do nothing until I write. And some days I'll write 500 words. Other days I find myself writing 5,000 words. He gave me a system And by that system...
So did you have a means of counting these words?
Yes, because the computer will count for you.
Okay.
So before you know what was happening, I had a book in 30 days. Of course, I still had to review and all of that. But it literally cut into 1/3 of the time to do a book normally. But even after that, if you count the review time and everything, it still was faster than my first book. I did that book in months when I did my first book in 3 years. So after
And you
that,
were able to do it shorter because you created
a system. And then after that, I've even created more systems. If I intend to teach on a particular subject matter, I now have a whole system. I'm not going to share it because it's my business, yes? But I now have a whole system.
It's a trade secret, so you won't give out for free.
I won't give it out for free. But I have a whole system now that instead of doing 1 book a year, I do 6 books a year. Do you see it? So genius can be replicated. Remember I said
yes,
so.
Genius can be replicated.
When you get a system, you are able to replicate system. And so you are able to check this course irrespective of location.
It's like you have a template.
That's exactly what a system is. Your system is your template, is your process, is your methodology for doing what you do and doing it well. So by the end of that time, what you find is I'm no longer that person that starts a book and doesn't finish it. Last year, I did not engage my system properly. So last year, I barely finished 2 books. I did 2 books in a year where I should have done 6. Do you see it? That's because genius has, again, don't forget what I said, the euphoria of getting it done. You just feel like I've done it. I started to write a book on abiding. I'm writing another one on Proverbs. I have that one on margin. I think it should be the euphoria of starting. Well, it's getting it done in our mind. Because don't forget that you are doing 4 books at the same time. Because you are doing 4 books at the same time, the length of time you're spending in writing makes you feel like you have finished 1 book. But you haven't finished. So I said, get a team and don't be intimidated by their brilliance. The second thing I said is get a system. Because if you get a system, then you know when you have not gotten it done. Clock it out, whether you create a digital footprint or something. Just make sure you have something that you can go back to that says to you, you are 30% done.
Yes,
you are 60%
you can measure, because
done.
what you can't measure, you can't manage.
You cannot manage, and you definitely will not complete. So get a system. The third thing that I want to talk about when I think about dealing with the cause of genius is to get a handler.
Get a handler.
Get a handler.
All right.
Who is a handler? Your mentor, your coach. Preferably your coach, actually. What I know about most of us is that we do not make the effort to invest in ourselves. So when you think about paying a coach, you're like, I already know how to write a book. Why do I need a coach?
You know, I get a bit ruffled. I get a bit flustered when I see people finding it difficult to spend on themselves in terms of investing in developing a better version or developed version of themselves. But they find it easy to buy material things. And I realize that it's a problem of perception. You don't see yourself as valuable enough.
Because if you see yourself as genius, you will do what you need to do.
To preserve.
I told you about the conference that I went for. It was a 3-day conference, but the conference, if you count my airfare, hotel stay and all of that, cost me close to $10,000 in maybe 2014 and 15.
Yeah, that was the meeting with Michael Hyatt?
Yes. But it was worth it for me, because just being in that room with people I consider geniuses, I came...
The learnings of 20, 30 years for some of them.
Apart from the learning, I came back with a level of confidence. That there's nothing wrong with me.
And money can't buy that.
Do you understand that?
Knowledge acquired.
So when we talk about this investment, get a coach. You want to build a house, or you want to begin to do real estate, you want to buy properties, you first of all have to save up money to an extent to be able to do it. Even if you're going to take a loan or a mortgage, but you need someone who's done it already. Just last week, I was talking to someone and I said, I'd like to do this. And she said, oh, I know people. You should go to this website, do this, do that, do that. Just opening up to say to someone, I want to do this capital project. And she could point me in the right direction, had reduced the time that I would spend in research. But most of us will say, don't tell them, they will steal your idea. And because you don't share with them, you don't go anywhere. You are standing still. But that's really even slightly different from the genius conversation, because the genius isn't afraid that someone will steal their ideas. They are a beehive of ideas.
Yes.
It's just that they can't sit still even to delegate. So it's like, okay, go get it done.
So there's a place of genius being a coach to others,
And
there's
there's
a place of genius
having a coach.
having a coach.
Oh, I have a
So
coach.
it's both ways. In fact, I tell people that if you have a coach and your coach does not have a coach, that your coach is a dangerous coach.
I have a coach.
So was it not Michael Faraday that said, if I've seen any further in life, it's because I stood
on the shoulders of
people who
others.
have gone ahead of me.
Yes. So, every time I see that there's headroom, the first person I place a call to is my coach. Coach, I saw something. Will you have time to spend time on the phone with me?
Guys, I hope you're learning. It's so
The
intense
moment she
in here in
gives
the
me an
studio.
appointment and she comes, we will spend 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes. She crystallizes it for me. It doesn't matter whether it's an idea she's not thought about. She has that grace. So that's why I keep going back to her as my coach. Do you get it? Now, after that, she will now make me a commitment. She'll say, I will research this, I'll research that, and in a week, reach out to me, I'll get back to every single
own
time.
genius is also being sharpened as the way she's sharpening.
Every single time. Every single time. So you need to get, I call it a handler. In my mind, heaven sent you as a spy to the earth. But heaven will give you a handler. Just like the KGB will send you to another nation, and they will put a handler in that nation who tells you where to go, when to drop off, where, and ensures that you are safe. All of us as geniuses need senior
Thank you,
geniuses.
BMM. Thank you, BMM. So we've looked at 3 ways to prevent the curse of being
genius.
of genius.
Yes.
Number 1, we talked about, I remember the fresh
Relational currency.
relational currency. Number 2, we looked at creating a system.
Yes.
And number 3, we
Get a
looked
handler.
at get a handler, and we
Yes.
broke the handler to a coach, a mentor,
Yes.
or someone that can guide you and handle you, and you are accountable to the person.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go on a quick break right now. Don't forget, this is NeverTheLess show. Don't go yet. We'll be back shortly. The next thing we're going to talk about is to give a proper clarity on a particular burning question in my heart. Don't miss it. We'll be back shortly.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life is just simple. Do not worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi Mark-Mordi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, NeverTheLess. NeverTheLess is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of NeverTheLess and other books written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, like The Wisdom of the Seed, Honor, The Theology of Work, and so much more from a bookstore nearby, or call 080-905-63555, or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order. I guarantee you will make it. NeverTheLess.
All right, welcome back to NeverTheLess show. I told you I had this burning question when we were talking about 3 ways to prevent the curse of
Genius.
genius. We talked about relationship currency,
Relational
currency.
Yes.
Then we talked about creating a system.
Yes.
And when we're talking about creating a system, there's no way you can create a system without having a team
Yes.
that can help you when you're not there. You have started,
True.
you need people to get it rolling for you.
Yes.
Then the last one, we talked about getting an handler, which you further broke down to
A coach,
a coach
mentor,
or a
discipler.
mentor or a discipler, someone you are accountable to.
Yes.
But I'm thinking in my mind that having an handler and
A support system.
a support system or a team? Is it not the same
They're
thing?
different.
So can you please
Very
just
different
shed
because-
more light on the
Because
differences?
your support system, at best, your support system are at par with you or they are under you. They take instructions from you. But they are gifted people as well. And their job is to take what it is that you have ideated or they take your ideas and then break them down into conclusive steps. And then maybe you actually even take roles in what needs to be done so that they can get it done and bring it, your work to finishing. But the handler is different. The handler is different in that, that quote you said about Michael Faraday, that he was standing on the shoulders of those who had gone ahead. The thing about picking coaches is you don't just pick a coach because they said they were a coach. Results is how you should choose your coach. That's why I call this person a handler. My coach is definitely better at everything than I am. If my coach did a podcast for you, you'll be like, oh my God. And she doesn't just record her podcast. She'll record and edit them and put everything together. Yes, she's that good. So when I say a handler, I mean someone who knows more than you.
Handles better than you.
Yes. Has done more things than you've done at levels higher than the levels that you. Of course, those people can be expensive. They don't come cheap. But the value they bring.
But at least there's a face for each genius.
Yes. The value they bring. Oh my God. I cannot trade it for anything. So you need to get a handler, because getting a handler, that relationship is very technical and can be very emotional as well. I know that a lot of people will say, oh, coaching is not an emotional investment. You haven't met the right coach.
Absolutely.
Coaching is an emotional investment. So when you get the right handler, here's 4 things that will happen in that relationship. You will see devotion. You will see delight. You will see desperation. You will see dependence.
Devotion, delight, desperation, and
Dependence.
4
Yes.
Ds.
4 Ds. Now, how does this happen?
4 Ds of an handler.
Yes.
Don't forget, document it, please.
My coach shows up and does those extraordinary things she does because she's devoted to our relationship. She's been my coach for over 10 years. Yes, she's been my coach. Actually, she's been my coach for 12 years. And another thing is that she's seen my results and my track record over time. So her devotion to me and the things that God has called me to is that whatever it is that God has put in BMM must come out on my watch. So that devotion makes her make the investment. It takes a sacrifice. Sometimes some of the brilliance she brings to my work these days is not even so much about the pay as it is about, I know you are headed somewhere and I want to be part of that story. So you see that devotion. Devotion will bring you to a place where you feel safe with your coach. That's number 1. I talked about delight. Oh my God, my coach is the first person to send me a message every time I break new ground. To say, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
I saw you did this. I'm so proud of you. But you see, it's also the converse, because I'm also devoted to her. Then periodically I ask her, coach, do you need me to do anything for you?
And whatever. Genius don't ask for their coach. They don't want to take.
And whatever she asks me to do, I will do it. And then I delight in her too. A few days ago, I saw she had released an episode of her podcast because she took a break for a while. And, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, I saved this. Everything that my coach does, I save it. I listen to it. I go back, we discuss it. Why? Because I'm also delighted by her growth. Because I am smart enough to know that as long as she continues to grow, guess what?
It gives me hope that I
will continue to grow. So that makes that place a safe place for me. Do you understand that? Then I talked about desperation. Desperation is my own expression of need. I am clear that if I can get to Coach Anna, I will always get a solution. Even if she doesn't have it on the spot, she will say to me, I'll think about it, let me research it, and I'll come back to you. And she's never failed me. So when I'm desperate and I want to deal with this course of genius, And I'm saying to myself, I'm not able to complete this thing. I saw the final product in my mind, but I'm struggling with completing it. What it usually means, Dr. Shogo, is that I have a gap. So out of desperation, I go to my coach. The key of desperation is that you must express your need properly. Articulate your need before you get there. The moment I'm able to articulate my need, she would always find a solution. Usually she'll say, let's try this and this and this. And by the time we get to the third one, we have closed that gap. The final thing I talked about is dependence. Your handler brings you to the place of dependence. Your team don't have that level of commitment and loyalty to you, because your team most of the time are people you pay. So today they are there, tomorrow they are not there. The highest bidder is who they are looking for. Tomorrow, if someone shows up and they feel that that person can give them more than you are giving them, they will make the transition without thinking about you.
It's transactional.
Yes, it's transactional. But this level, the handler is not transactional, because the handler feels responsible for your very life.
Growth, yeah.
He feels responsible for your very life. So when they find you at that place where you are struggling, they show up, they get in the trenches with you. And that's why they are expensive, by the way. Because what they bring to the table is tons of years of...
It's for the long haul.
And I take exceptions to people who have one coach this year, next year is another coach. When you are talking to you, they say, that's my coach, that's my coach, that's my coach. And I'm thinking, how many lives do you have? Why do you have so many coaches? Because you see, the role of a coach and a handler is not so much about knowing what you do, knowing how to do what you want to do, as it is about knowing the principles that help you do about anything. Do you see?
Just readapt it into the
anything. So because of that, their commitment to you is usually more long-term than your team. And that's why you must separate your handler from your team. Because otherwise, you will find that happening. You will find that happening. And if that happens, and this transition, because I've also been in a place where I had a coach, but I wasn't making use of that relationship as I could make use of it.
You're not milking the relationship effectively.
And at some point, I found out that everybody left, and I was standing alone. Of course, in another 2 years, my productivity was at an all-time low, because these people had left. They had gone off to better jobs, their lives had progressed, and they had to move on. I cannot tell them not to grow, yes? But my coach, as she's growing, her responsibility is to say to me, I have this now. Will you buy into this? So there are times my coach just finishes doing something new and she sends me the link. That's what she does. I have a great coach. She'll send me the link and she'll say, I just did this. Maybe you'll find it useful. At some point, I realized that even though she wasn't charging me for it, I should be paying for it. So when she do that, I have her PayPal account. I will just send her some money. It may not be how much she's charging for it.
It's the gesture and the...
Yes, it is me saying, I appreciate you. What that means is next time when she finds something new, she will send it my way.
This is a trade secret, life secret in how to develop meaningful relationship with your coach or with someone you aspire to be. Because most times it appears that they are rich, they don't even need it.
Yes.
But placing value on the oil they carry, beyond the I appreciate you, is also a spiritual channel to tap into their results.
Yes. So you need to know that, you see, as a genius, there are no guarantees that you will arrive at the place where you could arrive. That's why when you said it's 1% also inspiration and 99% perspiration, I understood it. There are things you need to do daily and consistently to ensure that what God put on the inside of you does come into life. Because you need to recognize that brilliance is put on you for impact.
Brilliance is put on you
for impact. God called you into the room of genius because God wants to achieve something on the earth. He wants to create something in the future, and only you can do it. To now sit on that thing and not do the hard work of delivering on its capacity is to deny heaven glory by denying earth impact. We should never be found in that place
at all. So today's episode has been so amazing and overwhelming. One of my greatest learning curve was when you talked about the relationship with the angler, and you talked about devotion,
delight, desperation, and dependence.
And dependence. At the level of devotion, it goes beyond transaction.
Yes. Relationship. Yes.
That is why. So this person is there for me, even if I'm not paying the person.
Yes.
And not that I'm abusing the privilege of access.
No.
But I'm so much committed to your success, to your growth, beyond
the monetary exchange.
Yes. That really touched me because
at that point you have transcended to that place where they put their lives at your disposal. And it's such a brilliant thing to do.
It is.
So when you are genius, you know that your journey is long haul. Why will you not craft a relationship that can be long
haul as well? And I also gained a lot of value. You see people following coaches up and down. At the end of the day, you are not duplicating the success of a specific one because you are neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys have learned a lot. You want to share your learning curve. You want to share you have questions burning in your heart. Please don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, on Facebook at Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Don't forget, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once again, BMM, thank you so much for sharing out of your vast knowledge with every one of us. Your ministry, your life is a great impact. We see the comments, the feedback. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to share the video. Any last word before we close?
This is not the last episode for the month. We have one more episode to go. And at that episode, we'll be looking at another aspect of this conversation, genius. If you forget anything, please do not forget that genius is an invitation from God to come into a room with Him and create a future that only you can create. That future cannot exist without you. Remember what I say, if you embrace your superpower, you will live powerful lives. That's the genius on the inside of you. Please remember to send us feedback. We will wait to hear from you. Thank you again. I'm Dr. Shego. I'll see you next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Amen. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Nevertheless. For more information and resources, call 080-90563-555 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com. Don't forget, discovering your purpose helps you live more powerfully.